welcome back to yet another ProcureTech Wonders. We are here with another woman founder, which I'm so thrilled about, Daniela Osio. She is the founder of Kloopify, which we're going to be learning about here today. But in a nutshell, Kloopify is trying to solve for the climate crisis and helping procurement professionals link profit, people, and planet together. I'm using her words. I think that's just a beautiful way of describing what you're doing. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. But first, before we get started, let's hear from you, Daniela. Introduce yourself and a little bit about Kloopify.
Absolutely. First off, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to speak to another female founder here about procurement and all the exciting things that we're doing as an industry. As you mentioned, my name is Daniela Osio. I am the CEO and co-founder of Kloopify. And Kloopify is the fastest, highest quality way to determine the environmental impact of all of your purchases to enable action. And we're leveraging AI to bring you that data. And so the way that I think about it is we are operationalizing sustainability within procurement. So making it part of your day-to-day activities, whether you're setting strategy in your category management or you're negotiating with suppliers, running RFPs. Sustainability should be part of that. The way we consider cost and quality impact should be one of those other metrics. And at Kloopify, we're on a mission to make sure that as you transition to purchasing more sustainable products, you can leverage it to generate more revenue, bring in top talent, and elevate the procurement industry as a whole.
That is absolutely amazing. I cannot wait to dive in today. So let's go ahead and start our Q&A rapid fire with you. And the first question is, why are you better than your competition? How do you differentiate yourself in the marketplace?
Absolutely. Well, for starters, we are procurement professionals. We built this for procurement people. We brought together two key things and two key areas that have never worked before: sustainability and procurement. And we're having them speak each other's language. We're teaching procurement the data that sustainability needs in order to be able to say, what's the difference between buying resin from DuPont versus Covestro? What trade-offs am I making alongside price and quality? And we're letting sustainability know how procurement can be leveraged as one of the key driving factors to make this go to deliver results. So it's not just about the data that we bring. It's designed for procurement by procurement. We have greater visibility into your supply chain. So we understand how deep you need to go or the level of visibility. And we have the largest database that we have of private and public databases. We've harvested data on our own, and we not only work with you, procurement, but we're actually work with your suppliers as well. So as you're training your suppliers that are all different levels of maturity, we will work with them to get them the right data so that you can unlock that value.
That is absolutely amazing. There's true value there. I love how you just described that. And so for that mission and how you differentiate yourself, can you explain to us your target market and what specific challenges you need to help them solve for?
Absolutely. So we are a B2B enterprise software. So we are targeting large enterprise organizations with complex supply chain. The more complex, the better, because that means that there's a strategic procurement plays a strategic part in complex supply chains. Another thing, publicly announced sustainability goals, right? If you have announced an impact reduction goal, if you have a goal to be carbon neutral, reduce your carbon footprint, name a goal, name a date. Those are the organizations that we're going after, as well as organizations with centralized procurement departments. So really that have considered procurement as a strategic function, that now are beginning to hire for sustainable procurement leaders that have a large footprint associated with procurement activities. Up to 80% of a company's footprint can come from their procurement activities. And so in the services, in the financial, in the manufacturing, and the pharma industry, those are elevated. So those are the three key industries that we're targeting alongside B2B enterprise organizations.
Fantastic. All over the globe? or here in the United
All over
States?
the globe.
Okay. All right. All right. Next question. How do you price? And not to give any type of price range or anything, but just to talk about like, how do you calculate the price for someone to use your system and platform?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So it's based on the organization as a whole, how many suppliers do they have and how large they are, so their revenue. And then there's tiered pricing to how much support you would want to be given, right? So think of us as there's different features and functionalities. And if you only want your top, 100 strategic suppliers to get extreme handholding, personalized guidance, more one-on-one sustainable procurement strategies for your own team as well as for your suppliers so that they understand what data they need to provide to you. Depending on how many strategic suppliers, we do a pricing tiered program.
Okay. Fantastic. Usually a 3-5 year contract.
Correct. 3-year
Okay.
contracts is our standard.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Okay, now here's something I get so jazzed about this point in our conversations. What should we be excited about with your roadmap? Tell us a little bit about what you're planning in the future.
Yeah. Well, to no surprise, a lot of focus on data, on getting you the right data for the right decision making, to harvest that data for you so that we can reduce the friction between you and your suppliers. I know firsthand suppliers are experiencing so much decision or survey fatigue. So the more that we can do to alleviate that by bringing data to you to the table without you having to work or ask for it, that's what really exciting for us on the roadmap, as well as a lot of AI. So we're building a smart solution, as in taking industry information about what has worked, what has shown results, case studies, applying that intelligence and using AI so that you get a personalized strategy on where to drive actions, where you're going to have the highest ROI for your sustainability initiatives, and how to bring your team along with you on that journey so that they can feel like they've got the knowledge, the know-how, and the information they need to make the best decision for you and your company. Very exciting things in the roadmap.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait to see more of that from you all. Maybe we'll see a little bit of it today, but we'll
Absolutely.
have to wait and see in the demo portion. All right, let's talk about success stories. Can you highlight a client success story that really showcases your impact and how you provided value?
Absolutely. There's one that just jumps out to me. It was a client in the ags and biotech industry, and they have a personal goal of being carbon neutral and actually being, the word is slipping my mind, but um, it's a positive impact on the world, not just being neutral, but actually generating positive impact on the world. And their supply chain footprint, they knew was responsible for the largest amount of their environmental footprint based on the initial carbon accounting that they had done with a carbon reporting system. But they had no idea how they were going to actually enable the action and drive results. So they brought on Kloopify, and in less than 2 weeks, we had given them full global value chain visibility, understanding what suppliers and commodities were driving the most amount of their environmental footprint. And in less than 2 months, we're actually engaging their suppliers, asking them for further detail around the commodities that they individually buy from their suppliers, and creating strategies on how they're going to make this part of their RFP process, how they're going to make it part of their strategic engagement process. And so we were there just supporting them as they're going through this extremely exciting and transformative work to make impact data part of their day-to-day activities. And it was just really exciting to see the team getting trained up on the procurement side, but the suppliers getting so activated to provide this information, because now we're tying together, okay, you need further data, but the further data and the engagement will actually lead to more business, which, as you know, from a supplier's perspective, that's the number one thing that they want to hear. So it was very exciting and rewarding to see going from strategy setting to so quickly engaging suppliers to begin to show results and to drive action.
That's an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing that. I can't wait to talk to you like a year from now, and you're going to have like hundreds of these stories that are coming along.
So
It's
excited.
amazing. Okay, now on a little bit on the flip side, let's learn from some of the other implementations that you've gone through. So, what is the most common mistake leaders make when they're going through an initiative and deploying a technology like yours?
So from an implementation front, I would say the most common mistake is the idea that somebody is going to want to upload data from one system into another. There's this thing called kind of, I don't love the word for it, but if you know a better word for it, let me know. But it's called orphan data. It's when data lives somewhere but has no place to go, and the whole system of downloading data from one place to upload data from another. And so what we've seen actually is those that take the time in the beginning to incorporate API connections into the implementation process see so many more returns throughout the entire engagement because it becomes much more simpler to get results. You've got real-time data. You've got the ability to shift and adjust to new information on a higher level, on a much more frequent level. And you have the ability to engage your suppliers and eliminate orphan data. So data no longer lives in different systems and people's emails, in spreadsheets, in all of these other places, but now becomes part of a centralized system. So really making sure that from day one, you're understanding what are the data sources, where do they live, and how do we make sure that we create connectivity that can last and that can be sustainable versus dumping from one system to upload into another system.
I'm going to ask a follow-up question really quickly. What are the most common APIs that you would recommend from that learning?
So we plug into any major ERP system that you have, and most of the time we are pulling our data from your ERP system, whether it's one ERP system or it is 5 ERP systems, and then you've got a data lake on the top that sits on top of the 5, or you don't. Kind of really making sure we can plug into kind of any of those. And that's the beauty of our technology, is that we've created it in a way to allow for seamless API integrations, whether that's a pull or a push. We work with you and your existing ERPs.
Okay. All right. We're through the formal Q&A. You did that in 11 minutes, by the way. Congratulations on that. Give or take if the timer's off on the screen. But thank you so much for being in the hot seat for the Q&A. So we're going to transition over to the demo, which I'm so excited to see. And so you'll get another 15 minutes for that. And I'll go ahead and hand it over to you for this portion.
Okay, so before we jump in the demo, I think it's important to cover the quick and simple steps that led to uncovering the Kloopify level of value. So Kloopify only needs 4 data points in order to run its analysis. And those 4 data points live inside your ERP system, whether that's one ERP or many ERPs. Kloopify's turnkey APIs allow us to plug into any of those systems and pull that data, those 4 key data points. Now, the fun happens during the implementation process. As we're pulling and identifying where those 4 key data points live inside of your ERP, we're also going to be learning about you, the things that make your supply chain unique and different, your business units, maybe where you house quantity or usage information. And the reason we get that additional data from you and learn from you is so that every time that we deploy a Kloopify instance, it is a unique, tailored visibility and tailored approach to the things that make you unique and valuable and your supply chain so complex. So once we've gone through our implementation process, which by the way takes 2 weeks, we unlock this level of value. Let me start by sharing my screen. Okay, welcome to Kloopify. So first things first, right away, when you log into Kloopify, this is for the Chief Procurement Officer. These are big, you can see boxes that identify CO2e, AMI trends. You can see how much spend is being processed and analyzed. You can see the overall carbon intensity of those of your supply chain. The three big things that are going to be able to use that you're going to be using to track the success of your sustainable procurement initiatives and activities. And right away, you're going to see what suppliers you need to be engaging with to maximize the ROI of your engagements. So you're going to see your top most impactful suppliers, the CO2 emissions associated with them, what percentage of total that means, your high impact spend, how carbon intensive, and your data quality. And that data quality number is really important because data quality is directly tied to value creation, which means if you are at a star 2, then you'll be able to compare commodities at an industry level, maybe at a geographic level. See if one supplier, if you're buying from a supplier that's in India, might be better than buying from a supplier in China. And you'll be able to compare those. But if you want to answer questions like, is the resin I buy from DuPont better than the resin, or Dow better than the resin that I buy from Covestro, you're going to need to get to a data quality level 5. And so we work with you to show you the value that you unlock with the data quality that you have and the value that you can unlock as you and your supplier continue to work together. And we work with your suppliers to give you that information. You'll also be able to see the priority commodities. So where your procurement and your category playbooks, where they should be focusing on, and what commodities are driving the most amount of your environmental footprint. You'll again see the data quality sources associated with those commodities and how many suppliers you have that are selling you or that you are procuring these goods and services and products from. And the reason that's important is because you want to understand, is this a sole supplier? Are there many suppliers that I need to engage with? And what's my engagement strategy going to be with those suppliers to make sure that I can deliver on my goal, whether that be to reduce my footprint of my buy space by 10, 15, 20%, depending on what the overall corporate goal is. And you'll be able to see the questionnaires. But let's jump into the reporting view, because this is where you'll be able to slice and dice the data to whatever question you're trying to answer, whether that be, what are my most impactful suppliers? What are my most impactful cost centers? Or if I'm interested, what commodities down to a SKU level are driving the most amount of my environmental footprint? And the important thing to know is that while you can play around with this, you can also share this data. Everything is auditable, transparent. I can see per commodity, per impact, what's the level of data quality associated with that commodity? How many suppliers do I buy that commodity from? How many transactions are associated with? And how can I get to a better level of engagement with those suppliers? Now, what you just saw me do is click into that supplier because I want to see all the transactions associated with it. But let's say I'm going into a supplier negotiation and I want to see, hey, maybe I want to work with Garbage in Ink. So the next time I'm going to engage with that supplier, I know what's the trends associated with a supplier. Have I gotten them to hit my impact reduction goals? How much am I spending with them? What's the CO2 emissions? Where am I on that data quality journey? And how can I better engage with them to maybe have more accurate information around the impact of those goods? Or have they transitioned to renewable energies? And because they've made improvements, now that means that you get to claim those improvements, and they're sharing that data with you. And so you can see trends. You can see how similar to you are what you eat, you are what you buy. And so with having this data at your fingertips, there's so many questions that you can answer in so many ways that you can not only meet your impact reduction goals, but balance that with your cost delivery and other KPIs that you've got within your supply chain, within your suppliers, things that you've got within your contracts. Excited to see what the future holds as we're implementing new features and delivering on our AI roadmap, which would make this a smart solution. So you will get personalized recommendations tailored to your buy spaces, to upcoming contract negotiations, and so much more.
I loved that demo. Thank you so much for taking us through both of those different views on your dashboard. And it's exciting to see, like we talked when you first launched, and it's just so exciting to see the progress that you made and the value that you're delivering for your clients. So congratulations to you and your team. Thank you so much for being with us today. It's just such a pleasure to hear what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amanda, for having me. I'm so excited. And if anyone wants to learn more, reach out, please feel free to contact me. My information is Daniela@Kloopify.com if you want to send me a quick email, or you can follow us on LinkedIn or check us out on Kloopify.com. Thank you so much, Amanda. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. And if you want to go ahead and drop, that's cool. And we'll send you the recording post before we post it on social and stuff, so you can take a look at it.
Perfect. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, everyone, that was our sneak peek into Kloopify. As usual, I'm going to give you the 3 things that I love about Kloopify, and then 3 things that I don't quite like yet. And for this one, it's a special edition because I think some of what I don't like yet has to do with us and not Kloopify. So we'll get into it. So 3 things that I love about Kloopify. Number 1, and I love how Daniela actually describes this, is having a nutritional panel, like what we do for our own health when we're choosing food to eat and put into our bodies. It's a very similar concept that she's taking forward with Kloopify, is having this kind of informational panel where we can make decisions more effectively around sustainable procurement moving forward for each of our industries, for our organizations, et cetera. So I love what that perspective of that what we put into our supply chains will reflect our supply chain health and the supply chain sustainability overall. So a very cool concept that I think she's right on, getting that information out into the marketplace. So that's number 1 thing that I love about Kloopify. The second thing is their strategy around data. So often you'll see organizations and technologies out there that are very questionnaire focused. They still have that in their tool. But what they're doing is bringing in other third-party information to build this robust database. So you have a starting point. So you don't have to ask as many questions. So you can have maybe suppliers validate that data instead of doing a questionnaire. So loving that concept. There is so much information out there that's publicly available or even privately available that you can get through KPIs, where we don't have to start from scratch anymore. So really smart way to approach the marketplace that Kloopify is deploying in their solution, and you can get that today. Daniela talked about AI a little bit in her comments, and I think that is my number 3. And it's not so much the AI, but how they're deploying the AI. Really, when you have something like this where there's so much data, sometimes it's hard to understand where you should prioritize. So the way that Daniela was describing how they're deploying AI is to give you insights and action. So if you noticed in the demo, there was a panel across the top of recommendations of things that you could be doing right now to make that supplier relationship more robust, to get more information and cleanse the information around sustainability. So I think the way that they are deploying AI is super smart, because that's a challenge, whether you're talking about data for sustainability, but then also for you get lost in data related to risk often. So it's just really smart to say, okay, we have all of this data, but let's deploy AI so we can give you action, which is where really why we're investing in tools like this, is to take action and get a return on your investment. So that is number 3 that I love about what they're doing at Kloopify. Okay, 3 things that I don't like quite yet, or suggestions maybe for Kloopify to be thinking about in the future, or how you deploy a solution like this. So the first thing is, how do you get all of those insights and that data into your other systems? So Daniela mentioned an API out, and I think that is really beneficial for any deployment. So if you have a core source through pay system or a core sourcing system, how do you get the insights that Kloopify is gathering into those other systems, so you have data right at your fingertips when you're making a decision versus having to go out to another application? So I believe, because of how they've put this together, that you can do that. It's just a consideration as you're deploying. How do you create that kind of more actionable insights at the point of transaction versus having to go into another system. You can go into the other systems for strategies and all that work, but it's so great to have data at your fingertips at the point of transaction too. Okay. The other thing that other two things are actually somewhat to do with us in procurement. I think that with technologies like Kloopify coming out, it's a game changer around the KPIs that we're tracking and the ability to track those. So as you're considering an implementation like this, I would take a hard look at your KPIs and what you want to measure moving forward, because now you can measure more beyond cost savings, beyond risk, beyond supplier diversity. You can do so much more with this data. So I'm sure Kloopify has recommendations on what those KPIs could be. You saw some on the dashboards, but I think it's on to us as procurement leaders to make sure that we're being very strategic about what we're measuring and how we incentivize behavior around those measurements. And the third thing that I would point out is so often as procurement leaders, when we talk about ESG, it's really focused on, I think, two areas: supplier diversity and supplier risk, which is an incomplete picture. So as you are thinking about your strategies and thinking about not only the risk around sustainability, but the impact of your choices around sustainability, I think this is a great new system to be able to expand your horizon on ESG and really be thinking about your social impact and the sustainability of your supply base. Daniela was absolutely right. 80% of what we do in any organization runs through our procurement and supply chain. So we have a real seat at the table when it comes to the decisions they're making and how we create a sustainable supply chain moving forward. So those are the three things that I would say I'm encouraging that we need to be looking to and improve upon as we bring on technologies like Kloopify moving forward. So with that said, I hope you guys loved this edition of ProcureTech Wonders. I am Amanda Prochaska, the founder of Wonder Services. If you want to learn more about any other future ProcureTech, please hit the like and subscribe button in this video. Otherwise, hit up our website. Link is below. It's wonderservices.net. We share all of our videos on our website, and you can also go to a landing page and learn how you can engage with Kloopify if you want to learn more about them, or any of our other ProcureTech Wonders that we've been highlighting on our videos. So until next time, please hit up that website, hit that like and subscribe button, and do amazing work when it comes to our ProcureTech landscape.